He walked in like any regular guy. No suit, no entourage, just a man craving a sandwich. But as he waited in line at his own diner, something happened. Two cashiers whispered, laughed, then crossed a line that would change everything. What they didn't know. The nobody in line was actually the owner, and he heard every word. It was a chilly Friday morning in the heart of Chicago, where city sounds mixed with the comforting aroma of fresh-baked biscuits and sizzling bacon. Nestled on the corner of 6th and Main stood J.C.'s Diner, a local hotspot known for its legendary Southern breakfast, lightning-fast service, and warm, friendly staff. On the surface, it was just another busy morning, with customers lined up, clinking coffee mugs, and servers hustling between booths. But today wasn't an ordinary day. Jamal Carter, the man behind the entire J.C.'s Diner franchise, now spread across 6 states, was paying a visit to this very location. This was the original diner, the place where it all started. The first restaurant he opened 12 years ago after quitting his job, selling his car, and betting everything on a dream. It held history, memories, sweat. But Jamal wasn't walking in as a boss today. Dressed in a plain gray hoodie, faded jeans, and sneakers, no briefcase, no Rolex, no assistant. He looked just like any other customer. That was intentional. No one recognized him without his usual tailored suits or high-profile interviews. And that's exactly how he wanted it. Jamal had heard whispers, complaints, a few bad reviews. Something wasn't right at this location, and he needed to see it with his own eyes, not as a CEO, but as a regular man. So, he left his luxury car 3 blocks away and stepped through the front doors with a simple goal. Order a sandwich, observe, and find out what had gone wrong at the place that had once been his pride. He had no idea what, or who, was waiting on the other side of that counter. The digital clock inside the diner blinked 12:03 p.m. The lunchtime rush was in full swing. Jamal pushed open the glass door and stepped inside. The smell hit him first. Grilled cheese, fried catfish, and buttermilk waffles, a nostalgic blend that took him straight back to his early days behind that very counter. The place was packed. Every booth was full, and the takeout line stretched nearly to the entrance. It should have felt like a victory. But Jamal wasn't here for nostalgia. He was here to observe. He adjusted the hoodie over his head and stepped quietly into line, unnoticed. The air buzzed with the clinking of silverware, the low hum of conversation, and the bark of orders from the kitchen. Jamal's eyes scanned the space. The floors were clean. Tables were turning quickly. But something was off. The energy at the front counter didn't match the rest of the diner. At the register stood 2 cashiers, Tanya and Melissa. They were loud. Not just in volume, but in presence. Laughing between customers, chewing gum, scrolling on their phones when no one was ordering. Their voices carried, their tone laced with sarcasm as they greeted each guest with the same half-hearted line, "Welcome to J.C.'s, what do you want?" Jamal watched closely. One customer, a young man in a suit, politely asked for a substitution on his sandwich. Tanya rolled her eyes. Melissa sighed, loud enough for the next 3 customers to hear. No thank yous, no smiles. Just processed transactions and empty pleasantries. Jamal frowned but said nothing. He took mental notes. Noticed the way Melissa ignored the older woman in line for nearly a minute while she reapplied her lip gloss. Watched Tanya rush a mother with 2 kids, visibly annoyed at their indecision. Still, he stayed in line. Patient. Silent. He blended into the crowd, just another face, exactly how he wanted it. No one knew the man waiting quietly for a sandwich was the very owner whose name was engraved on the sign outside. But in less than 5 minutes, 2 careless cashiers were about to make a mistake that would cost them everything. Jamal was now second in line. The man ahead of him ordered a chicken melt and sweet tea, then stepped aside. Tanya tapped on the register with long, glittery nails, clearly bored. Melissa leaned her elbow on the counter, barely masking a yawn. "Girl, I swear," Tanya muttered, not even lowering her voice. If one more customer asks for gluten-free bread like this place is Whole Foods, I'm walking out. Melissa snorted. Please do. Maybe then they'll finally realize this place been going downhill since new management took over. Jamal's ears perked up. His eyes stayed low, but his mind sharpened. New management, Tanya continued. Ever since that so-called owner showed up a few months back, it's been rules, rules, rules. No nails, no phones, no playlists. I don't care if he's the boss. He's got zero flavor. No soul. Bet he doesn't even eat here. Melissa laughed, tossing her braids over her shoulder. Bet he just another diversity hire they put in a suit so the company can say they inclusive. The words hit Jamal like a slap. He stood frozen in place. Every syllable felt louder, sharper, though their voices remained casual, like they were discussing weather. Tanya leaned in. I heard he used to work in a garage or something. Probably lucked out. Typical corporate sob story. Now he think he better than us. Melissa chimed in. You know what it really is? They needed someone black to smile for the camera, make the place look progressive. They ain't slick. Jamal's jaw clenched. His heart pounded, not out of anger, but out of sheer disbelief. He wasn't just listening to workplace gossip anymore. This wasn't about rules or shifts or break times. This was personal, racial, cruel. They didn't know the man in line, quiet, hoodie up, head slightly bowed, was the same diversity hire they were mocking. The flavorless, black owner who had built this diner from scratch, who had mopped these very floors when they were still sticky from construction dust. Still, he didn't speak. He took one deep breath, then another. His turn was next. And how they treated him now, knowing only what they assumed, would be the final confirmation he needed. The truth wasn't just in their words. It was in their tone. Their entitlement. The comfort with which they demeaned someone they had never even met. And Jamal? He would give them one last chance to prove exactly who they were, before showing them exactly who he was. Jamal stepped forward to the counter, calm and composed, his hoodie still shadowing most of his face. Tanya barely looked up from her phone. Melissa tapped the register screen without glancing at him. He smiled politely. Hi. Could I get the Turkey Club sandwich, no mayo, and a lemonade, please? Tanya sighed, exaggerated and loud. We outta Turkey Club. Melissa chimed in, check again, girl. They just restocked the fridge. Tanya didn't move. Instead, she finally raised her eyes, giving Jamal a once-over, not in recognition, but in judgment. Fine, she muttered, punching in the order like it was a burden. Lemonade's over there. Go get it yourself. Jamal nodded gently. Sure, no problem. No, thank you. No eye contact. Not even a printed receipt. As he moved to the side to wait for his food, he heard Tanya mumble behind him, just loud enough to be caught. Another broke dude ordering like he owned the place. Melissa snickered. These dudes always think being polite gonna get them something free. Jamal's stomach twisted, but his face remained neutral. He turned slightly and caught Melissa rolling her eyes toward him before returning to her phone. Tanya continued smacking her gum, tapping her nails on the counter, not even bothering to call the next customer with clarity. He looked around, no manager in sight. He took a slow breath, picked up his lemonade, and found a booth in the corner where he could still observe the front. The sandwich arrived 5 minutes later, tossed onto the counter without a name, without care. Jamal retrieved it silently. No one had smiled at him. No one had welcomed him. To them, he wasn't worth the effort. Just another face, another order, another paycheck. And that's exactly what he needed to see. What they didn't realize was this wasn't just a test of service, it was a test of character. And they had failed. Miserably. Jamal settled into a corner booth near the window, The same booth he used to clean himself during those early 6 a.m. shifts over a decade ago. He unwrapped his sandwich slowly, eyes never leaving the front counter. The lunch rush intensified. The line stretched again. Tanya and Melissa kept working, but their energy remained unchanged, careless, dismissive, loud. They chatted between orders like it was their personal hangout spot, not a place of business. Then Jamal noticed something else. A young waitress, no older than 22, was gliding between tables with quiet precision. Her name tag read Isabella. Short, dark braid pulled neatly back, apron tied tight, not a crease out of place. She moved with a sense of urgency and pride, refilling coffees, clearing plates, offering extra napkins without being asked. But what stood out more was how Tanya and Melissa treated her. Whenever Isabella returned to the front to grab orders or check on a customer request, Tanya rolled her eyes. Melissa once shoved a tray toward her without a word. At one point, Jamal watched as Isabella asked for help finding a customer's to-go bag, only for Tanya to wave her off dismissively and say, "Figure it out, rookie." Still, Isabella never reacted. No attitude. No complaints. Just a nod and a quiet, "Thank you," before she returned to her section. Jamal was impressed. He finished half his sandwich before calling Isabella over with a simple gesture. "Excuse me," he said kindly. "Can I get a refill on this lemonade?" "Of course," she replied with a bright smile. "I'll bring it right over." As she returned with the drink, Jamal added, "You're doing a great job. I've been watching." She blushed slightly, caught off guard. "Thank you, sir. I really try my best. This place means a lot to me." "Yeah?" Jamal asked, leaning in slightly. "Why's that?" "My mom used to bring me here when I was a kid," she said with a soft laugh. "First job I ever applied for. Just want to make it count." Jamal smiled back, warmth in his eyes. She had no idea who he was. But in that moment, he knew exactly who she was. The kind of person who deserved more, and was about to get it. Jamal finished the last bite of his sandwich, wiped his hands slowly with a napkin, and stood up. No drama. No scene. He simply walked past the counter, past Tanya and Melissa, who didn't even glance his way, and toward the back hallway marked employees only. A few workers raised eyebrows, but no one stopped him. He still looked like a quiet customer. Until he knocked gently on the office door and stepped inside. The on-site manager, a middle-aged man named Rick, looked up from paperwork, startled. "Can I help you?" he asked, standing halfway. Jamal gave a tight smile. "Yes. I'm Jamal Carter. I own this place." Rick blinked. "Wait, what?" "I'm calling a staff meeting," Jamal said calmly. "Now, everyone. Floor staff, kitchen, front counter. 5 minutes." Rick nodded stiffly, scrambling to relay the message. Within minutes, the entire staff gathered near the front. Servers wiped their hands on aprons. Cooks peeked from the kitchen. Busboys hovered near the dish return. Tanya and Melissa leaned against the counter, arms crossed, clearly annoyed. "What's this about?" Tanya muttered. "I got tables to cover," Melissa added, glancing at her nails. Then Jamal stepped out from the back. No Hoodie. Just him. In a crisp black t-shirt, standing tall and confident, eyes calm but razor-sharp. The diner fell silent. Forks paused mid-air. A customer at a nearby table whispered, "Is that?" Jamal walked slowly to the center of the floor. "Good afternoon," he began, voice steady. "My name is Jamal Carter. I'm the founder and owner of JC's Diner, every location, including this one." Gasps echoed through the room. Isabella's eyes widened. A dishwasher muttered, "No way." Tanya and Melissa? They went pale. Like blood had drained from their faces. Tanya's jaw hung slightly open. Melissa's arms uncrossed in slow motion. You may not have recognized me today, Jamal continued, because I came in dressed like anyone else. No suit. No title. Just a customer. Someone who wanted to see how this place runs when the boss isn't watching. He let the silence breathe. And what I witnessed was disturbing. Eyes shifted to the front counter. Tanya swallowed hard. Melissa took a tiny step back. Some of you, Jamal said, glancing toward Isabella, are working your tails off, showing respect, professionalism, and care for this place. He paused. And others, well, we'll talk about that in a moment. No one dared speak. No one moved. Because in less than 10 minutes, 2 cashiers were about to discover that the man they mocked, the one they dismissed, the diversity hire in a hoodie, was their boss. And he wasn't done yet. The air inside the diner felt heavy, thick with realization, embarrassment, and silence that screamed louder than words. Jamal took a slow breath and looked directly at Tanya and Melissa. His voice remained calm, but the weight behind it was unmistakable. I was standing right in front of you, he said. Ordered a sandwich. Politely. Waited my turn. Watched you laugh at me, ignore me, mock me. He paused. I heard every word. Tanya looked away. Melissa's mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. You talked about the new owner. You said I was just a diversity hire in a suit. Said I had no flavor, no soul. He took a step closer. You joked about who I am, without knowing who I am. Gasps rose from some of the staff. A few cooks exchanged glances. One waitress whispered, He heard everything? Jamal nodded toward Isabella, who stood near the drink station, stunned. And while you were too busy rolling your eyes and gossiping, he continued, this young woman here was holding this place together. She greeted me with kindness. She treated every customer with respect. She reminded me why I built this place in the first place. Isabella blinked, eyes shining slightly. I was just doing my job, sir. No, Jamal said softly. You were doing more than your job. And it didn't go unnoticed. He turned back to the group. Anyone else want to speak up? A young busboy hesitated, then raised his hand. They're always like this, sir. To us. To customers. Isabella gets stuck with double work half the time because they leave early. Another waitress chimed in. They ignore customer complaints and blame others. It's been going on for months. Tanya finally spoke, voice shaking. We didn't know who you were. That's exactly the point, Jamal interrupted, his tone firmer now. You shouldn't have to know someone's title to treat them with decency. He looked around. This diner isn't just a place that serves food. It's a reflection of the people who run it. And I won't allow that reflection to be poisoned by disrespect and entitlement. His voice lowered, serious. Things are going to change, starting today. Jamal stood tall, letting the silence settle one last time before delivering his verdict. Tanya. Melissa, he said firmly, locking eyes with both of them. Your employment here ends today. Effective immediately. Tanya gasped. Melissa took a step forward as if to protest, but Jamal held up a hand. No explanations. No excuses. I gave you the chance to show who you are, and you did. They both stood frozen, faces burning, unable to speak as the weight of their actions finally hit them. Jamal turned back to the rest of the staff, his voice shifting, still strong, but warmer now. To everyone else, let this be clear. Professionalism and respect are not optional in this establishment. It doesn't matter if you're a cashier, a cook, or a server. Every role matters, and every person deserves to be treated with dignity. Some heads nodded. Others looked relieved. He glanced at Isabella. And when people go above and beyond, that deserves recognition. He smiled. Starting this month, we're launching a new incentive program. Bonuses for top-performing employees. Free training workshops. And most importantly, we're putting in a system to hear your voices." Then he stepped toward Isabella and gently said, "And as of today, you've been promoted to shift supervisor." Gasps and light applause followed. Isabella covered her mouth, stunned. "Me? Really?" Jamal nodded. "You earned it." He looked around once more. This diner was built on hustle, heart, and respect. And that's exactly what it's going to return to, starting now. Within days of the incident, word spread like wildfire. A local customer who witnessed part of the confrontation quietly shared the story on social media. Headlines soon appeared, "Owner goes undercover, exposes racism at his own diner." Videos and posts flooded community groups, sparking conversations about workplace respect and accountability. The diner, once just another spot in the city, became a symbol of change and hope. Customers flocked in, not just for the food, but to support a business that took a stand against discrimination. The atmosphere shifted from tense to vibrant, alive with renewed energy and pride. Isabella, now promoted to shift supervisor, embraced her new role with passion. She worked closely with Jamal, helping train staff, ensuring everyone felt valued and heard. Her dedication became an inspiration to many, proving that respect and hard work never go unnoticed. Jamal didn't stop there. He made undercover visits a regular part of his routine, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, always blending in, always observing. It wasn't about catching people off guard, it was about preserving the culture he believed in. This wasn't just a business to him. It was a community, a family. And Jamal was committed to making sure every member felt respected, valued, and proud to be part of it. Because sometimes, the biggest changes start with the smallest actions, like buying a sandwich and stopping cold when you hear the truth. Respect isn't just something we show when we want to impress others. It starts with how we treat people when we think no one is watching. Because true character reveals itself in those quiet, unseen moments. Leadership isn't about titles or power. It's about values, kindness, fairness, and integrity. A real leader listens, observes, and leads by example, not by demands. Sometimes, the quietest person in the room holds the most power. The power to change minds, to inspire others, and to build something lasting. Jamal's story reminds us that respect is earned through actions, not appearances. And that accountability can come when you least expect it, but it always matters. So next time you think no one's paying attention, remember, your actions are shaping the world around you. Choose kindness. Choose respect. And be the kind of leader who lifts others up. Because that's how real change begins.